Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Barberry gets a makeover. Welcome to the workbench out in the backyard at Dave's Bonsai, and we've got a barberry to work on today. So this is a tree or a shrub that I picked up from my dad. He wanted to get rid of a couple of bushes on the side of his house, and he said, "Hey Dave, do you want them?" I said, "Absolutely, nothing like a free bonsai." So this big old thick trunk down here had a couple of different trees coming up here, the 2 or 3 back here. Just a clump. I threw it in a pot and we're just hoping for the best. Hasn't been repotted for a couple years now, so next spring we'll repot it. So this late spring, summer, let's go ahead and dive in and work on it. I'm gonna remove the old tea bags. They're done. Their life has pretty much dried up. So I haven't touched this barberry for a couple of years, other than maybe some tip-top pruning at the end of a season. And you'll notice we got all kinds of new sucker growth this year. You have to be very careful with these barberries. They're very prickly. They've got thorns on them. Look at the color on this guy though. We've got the more mature leaves from early this spring. They've got a dark burgundy color now. There's greens in there as well. And then this is the new growth, this young growth with this lighter burgundy, variegated with white, and there's even some hints of green in this one already. Just some stunning colors to just make for a beautiful plant. Now we've got a great big cavity of old wood, and there's moss in here, and this is just going to continue to decay over the years, so we have to be careful with that. So I'll go ahead and scrape this clean a little bit here while I chit chat, and we have to keep this from just allowing it to totally get rotten. And my question for this tree is, how much of this fantastic deadwood do we keep? You know, it's got so much character in here. This probably could come off down to here and we could just have this as a chunk. If I start to spread these out, they might even start to come apart. There's little cracks in here that open up a little bit when I spread it out like this, and so this all could fall apart someday. And I don't know how many roots are on this side of the tree. So when we repot it next spring, we'll have to take a look at that. So I may go ahead and chop this up a little bit to get a little bit of rougher look and make this more of the focus than this. And this is fun, and it's cracked and broken. And it's served its time. We're just gonna scale it back a little bit so the trees become more of the focus. And so we'll take care of that in a little bit as well. But right now I have to decide if I even want to keep any of this down here. And this comes from way down low. These do back bud and put out new suckers super easily. That's what I found with mine here. So we have 2 main branches down here that are growing way down at the base. And for this design of the tree, for the design of this tree, I should say, I just don't know that I need any of that. So we're just going to go ahead and cut all that off. And so that's going to provide energy for the other parts of the tree. And there's that barberry yellowy look. See that yellow look there in the bark? Such a fascinating inside color. This one too is also coming from way down low. We'll cut that one off. And the one next to it. And the one back here. I just don't think I want those in my design. I never really have from the get-go. We just have this nice chunk of wood, but this tree back here is alive. Now this new growth right here, we might leave for right now. It's a nice low branch, and it's got a solid part of the trunk down there where this is really iffy, but look at this guy right here. This guy is either growing from the inside of this trunk or this trunk. And look at this, all this gnarly broken off piece here. I don't know how long that's going to stay viable. So I would probably want to keep that one and not this one. I just don't know. I can't tell if it's growing from in here or not. Which tree is alive that this is growing from? This guy over here or this? So this does have a bit of a fuse right here. Right here. This branch from this old tree. And then this has this branch growing up from this pot. So if we can clear off some of this, then we'd have this trunk going up, over, and up. Very, very fun. And then this grows up from this trunk, or even in the future, this down here could be a favorable branch. So we're going to try to keep that one there. But this one, I think I am going to cut that one off. I don't want energy going there. Easy for me to say. Now, if I want the tree to actually go up and go over there, I think this gin is maybe a bit clunky, but maybe I'll leave that for now. And this is coming from this branch that's growing up right here. Right there, that's growing up, and I'm gonna cut that branch off so it doesn't come forward. As a matter of fact, we're gonna cut that whole thing right off. Because again, that crisscrosses way into this trunk and we can't see that trunk line anymore. So now we've got that old inside piece. Now that's crossing trees. We don't like that in bonsai. So as we clean this stuff out more, we might be able to see what can happen there. So why don't I just go ahead and do that right here. There we go. And there's a little bit of live tissue right there. That's fantastic. I'm glad to see that live tissue. So if I cut this back this year a little bit more, it won't hurt the growth of this branch right here, which is a really solid part of this tree right now. And then we've got this curved part of this trunk. If we get rid of that for this right here in the future. And fuse trees together happen in nature too, so maybe that's not even a bad deal. But for right now, just cutting this back a little bit more. Get rid of a little bit more of this deadwood here. And we do see some live tissue here, which is really nice. So right in here, there's a little bit of yellow right there, so that's good. And that tissue can come over maybe and heal some of this wound. Make it a little bit smoother of a wound. There we go. And now we've freed this up from this tree over here. We had this gnarly connection of these limbs. And now I'm able to cut away here a little bit and free them up from each other. And then from this side, look at that, we can even see right there. And there was an old branch right there that died off. We'd like to cut more of that too sometime. But that's nice, look at that. We can see more and more of where the two of these are separated now. It's a big enough tool, I can't quite get in there. There we go. There we go. And you see that live vein right there? That's where the old branch from the front was growing, right there. And now I've actually got my clippers right through that, right there. Nice. So we slowly but surely getting rid of this deadwood, just so we can kind of see the shape of these trees kind of commingling together from what used to be a couple of live trees that were big, thick. They somehow broke down a little bit over time. And now we can see that gap in there, right back in here. That's even more than there was last time. And again, we're going to keep that inside branch for right now. We're going to keep this guy. They're very tender. You got to be careful not to break them off. And this one's growing real nice, and it's got all this live vein right here now. But this isn't a conifer tree. This is a deciduous bush. Although I'm trying to think. Do these lose all their leaves in the wintertime? I think they do, unless I put them in my cold frame, because I have had one in my cold frame. But I think this one kept some original leaves. Now, what I could do this year as well is all this stuff where it's getting soft, I could put some of my lime sulfur on here, which will help to protect this wood a little bit longer, and then give it that white pasty look. And so we can scrape away some of this old stuff too, and then wet it down, and then get some lime sulfur in here. so it protects this old, dying, aging wood. Okay, so that's nice. We got more open there. We've got more of that exposed. I'm wondering if I can still gnaw away at that. There we go. There we go. And a lot of yellow tissue there too, so that might be able to heal pretty nice too. Hard to get a tool in there. Almost need like a sharp knife in there. So, could this planting go this way someday? And again, we get rid of all of this, or we just leave that for a branch that fell off, and this one broke off too. And you can see, if you look now, there's a branch that was here, 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 there's one in here. There's all kinds of branches that were on here, and they've just they all perished. And again, scrape all this old stuff off. We lime sulfur this today. We could have a real nice protection and then a nice dying, aging bark look. But that'll also preserve it for years to come. And again, this might even peel right off the whole design someday. So you can see from the back here, this branch is coming up here. There's the lower branch down there, but those two are real close and crisscross. But for the health of the tree, we're just going to leave that in place for right now. And again, we're leaving this one for today and let that shoot out. So if that's the front of this tree right now, this is still a little bit big in our way. If that becomes the front, this is way in our way, and that's in the back. If that becomes our front, we lose that back, which is no big deal. And we've got this funky death here, but again, I'd probably cut it down to there so this becomes the new focus. Then you've got this real fun trunk right here with this new life, the life behind it, and then this one's still alive too, with a couple of branches over here and a branch over here and one back here. So this in the future could be an interesting front, and if we tilt this up maybe a little bit like that, that's kind of fun. So we're going to keep all those branches in there. Now this one looks like it's not getting as much light down here, but it is alive. And there's new growth underneath it. So we're going to let that grow some more. So we're going to give it some room to breathe. Now cutting this is going to give this some more light to promote that growth. Now this one crossed in the back, so I just freed that open a little bit. So again, we don't know if we're going to keep both of these branches. Probably not. We probably won't keep this one. Look at this. Look at that one, kind of long and leggy-ish, looking for that light, right? It's coming off the branch we don't know we're going to keep or not, because they cross each other. And if this is the front someday, these cross each other terribly, right? So maybe we make that decision today and just cut that right off. I think we do. Try not to cut anything else. Let's cut that off. There we go. Now we just made a decision for this tree. We got these two trees growing this way here. All right. So this is a big knot there. Will we be able to come in here and get rid of some of that? Oh, absolutely. And there's live tissue in there. So it'll still heal as well. Just gotta be careful not to damage that one. That's the one I'm worried about. So I have to go very slow here. Tell me to slow down, everybody, so I can hear you. This one's coming down there. It just fell off there. Okay. All right. So I want to get more of that, but I don't want to damage this, and I don't want to damage down here especially. That's really tender. So it's all about being able to get the grip on this trunk to get rid of some of that old wood. There, you see all that gap we've just created? Yeah, and there's a lot of yellow tissue in here, so that should heal better because of all that yellow. So if this becomes the new front of this tree with this good old fun death here, that we'll get some lime sulfur here and chop this up a little bit. There we go. Some of these are just too uniform, so we just want to cut them up and make them messy. Fun tree. This just competes still, so we just got to get rid of that. And we can maybe lower this guy some more. And this is a consideration for a front in the future. And if we do get this lower and this lower, this could stay the front. We could just reposition it a little bit like this. Who knows where this branch could end up going? One of the things to consider for me with this tree, with this big cave in here, is we want to have a place for water to seep out. So if I continue to drill a hole over on this side, right here, we can have water so it doesn't pool in there and create more rot. After we get some lime sulfur in there and it dries out, that area has a place to drain. It also can drain down this side as well. So I got my big branch cutter. Okay, got that lower. So there, got a little deeper on that old dead section there. That was that big, smooth old branch that just did not look good. And just bringing that down just helps the overall less clutter over here. And these two are like competing themselves like a kind of a slingshot again. So now we have all of this rough bark. We can peel some of that away still. We could Dremel this if we wanted to. We're going to put some lime sulfur on this to preserve it, and then just who knows over time how it'll change with the dynamic of this structure. And again, I can always come in here and I could even peel some more off too. There we go. Now look at that rip. Look at that fantastic rip now. Spectacular. It's hard to see on camera, I'm sure, but a spectacular chunk of dead wood there now. So that just looks better. Again, we'll lime sulfur it. Got all this death here, this old stump of a tree that still wants to be alive, and maybe this can become a really big, robust tree as we continue. Before I wrap it up for today, I still think this is way too much. An old branch wannabe, there we go. That can now get old and die. So we got back to the live vein down here, and it's connected right here. We're able to take some of that away, and we'll be able to hopefully get some good healing of this side of the tree with this new vein. We know that's the live part of the tree. It's live back there. And again, we'll protect this wood with some lime sulfur here today, and we'll lime sulfur all this dead stuff today. We'll do that next, and then we'll have a tree that's ready to just get old again some more and continue to grow. Anything else we want to cut back? This branch is going way inside. Let's just cut this off. This one also is growing inside. Let's cut that off. It's kind of coming at us from that point. We're going to leave this pretty much alone here now. A little shorter there. There. And we're going to see. We're going to see what that thing does the rest of this summer. Let's prepare for some lime sulfur. Okay, we're going to wrap this up today with a little bit of lime sulfur. So some gin seal is what I have, premium gin seal with the calcium polysulfide, lime sulfur that people use. Now first we're going to get the old wood all wet, nice and wet. Now the trick about putting this lime sulfur on is it goes on yellow, and that looks the color of these guys right here, so you have to be careful. All this stuff is the dead stuff. So we'll start there first. Got dead veins right here. So on a tree that bleeds yellow anyway, we're putting some yellow lime sulfur here on this deadwood. So it continues to work towards nice faded white old age wood. No, definitely can't do this inside. You're gonna get a nice sulfur smell. Not pretty. So we're making this all pretty and yellow. It'll dry. We have some clouds in the area, but I don't think it's going to rain anymore, so we'll make sure this gets all nice and dry. So again, this is going to protect as a sealant. It'll certainly kill any bugs that are in this area, if there are any. And now what I could have done, and what I'll do next time, depending upon how this all takes, is there's some dark parts of this wood too that I could take my Dremel and a Dremel bit, and I could go ahead and polish all this off and get all the, make sure I'm getting all the dead look here. And then you go ahead and put the lime sulfur on that fresh new polished deadwood, if you will, and that's going to go ahead. Okay, now I'm going to very carefully put some right here, right there, just in the middle. I don't care if it's on too well. That'll be for later. I'm going to let that yellow, the yellow live tissue, I want that to heal. So just a little bit right in the middle. I'm not getting close to the edge. That'll help promote some sealant to that as well. Okay. There we go. We have the 30-year-old Barberry, and we cleaned her up a little bit today. We got a fun little peel off back there of some live tissue vein. You can see all that popping. We lime sulfured all the dead wood. That's all the yellow hue over here. You can already see it's turning white over here. Just that fast. We've got some live vein up here from this dead spot here that'll hopefully heal up with this guy and keep giving that healthy growth. A new leader right there for a branch down lower that we might not even keep, but we'll keep that in there for the health of the tree. And whether this becomes the front, that looks too much like the hoof of an animal upside down, looks kind of odd. But could this become a front right here with the tree's branches growing the way they are? Right there. Almost like an interesting triple trunk, and almost too symmetrical in a row here, but with the movement of these, and we'll just see. We'll see what we like down the road. So there we go. We'll leave it there on that pretty live vein side. The barberry bush ready to go back on the bonsai benches. Another one done for the day. Summer vacation has gone off to a really rapid start. Someone made a nice joke on one of the comments on the YouTube comment section. Said, on summer vacation, working harder than before. Of course, remember everybody, the key is I'm doing something I absolutely love. And so it never feels like work. That's going to wrap it up for this one. Hey, take care of you. Take care of your bonsai. And we'll see you very soon on the next one.